That means those who want to get cocaine and heroin into Europe from South America, they pass it through Nigerian ports and they get it across to Europe. But that has changed. There are people using it a lot more than you think. There are youths using these things a lot more than you think. Under there, I also put alcohol. I put alcohol, even though we were trying to separate it, I put alcohol because medically speaking, alcohol can be regarded as a drug. Once it has certain pharmacological effects on your body, it can be regarded as a drug. And I'm putting it there for a reason. For when we start talking about alcohol, some of us think alcohol is a bit, oh, there's no big deal about it. We're going to see another level concerning that. So when we're talking of drug abuse, Indian name, cocaine, heroin, and alcohol, all of these things under drugs. Let me look at the next slide on alcohol. Can you see? Stop. Buddha. Smell of ice. Wait, when you say you like it, do you like the way it looks or you actually like the taste? Let me explain something. Peer pressure can lead to experimenting with drugs, can lead to experimenting with alcohol, and there are consequences, especially when this is done at an early age. All these drugs, all these drinks that we see, in essence, there might be nothing wrong with these drinks directly. Because many of us, our parents take them. But the danger is that at a certain age, when we start indulging in this, we form a very strong habit. A habit that is difficult to break. For the drugs, for Indian, for example, let me tell you this. Some of the things that doctors have found out about Indian is that they found out when they do the autopsy of those who have been smoking Indian and they look at their brain. First of all, they found out that their brains are smaller. The brains are atrophying. That's the one that is used. They've grown smaller. Not only that, they found microscopic fragments or materials from the Indian coating the brain. Another thing they found out about Indian in particular, I'm mentioning that because that's the most common in our environment, is that it decreases the vigor, the zeal to accomplish. What happens is that over a while, after smoking it for so long days, you just find out that people just have a laid-back attitude. That is why many young people who start smoking it early, they end up with what we call NFA. What's NFA? No future ambition. All they just say, look, let's take life easy. Those are the things, and these things are very real. If at this point you are struggling with your education, your brain power, you are trying to juggle your brain, then you now start taking something that will start shrinking. That is a lot of problems in the future. But beyond that, beyond Indian cocaine, heroin, less common, but also very serious. I'm going to put all their consequences together. Next slide, please. Drugs and alcohol abuse. What are the consequences? Remember what we said. You make decisions. Every decision you make has consequences. It has results. If you decide to go into drugs, if you decide to go into taking alcohol at this point in time, what are the kind of consequences that you risk? First thing, as I said, is diminished intelligence. Diminished intelligence. One way or the other, one thing that is sure is that it decreases the IQ. That's something that all psychologists, they've all agreed that drug taking decreases the IQ. Right? Before you classify that successful person as a success, look over the next 10 or 20 years and let us see whether he can still maintain that success upon his drugs taking. It diminishes intelligence. You are not able to think properly. You are not able to make decisions properly. And that is the beginning of a downward slide in your life. Everyone that ends up, maybe you see an armed robber, you see someone, they weren't like that at the beginning. Do you think an armed robber, the day he was a baby and they brought him out, they said, this one will be an armed robber? They didn't. He grew up, he was happy, he danced, he sucked his mom's breast, he walked around, but things started changing along the way. A few years ago, about 2 years ago, I met a young lady. She's a prostitute in Lagos. And I started speaking to her, talking with her. And I found out that this girl had gone to a secondary school, in fact, a federal government secondary school. This girl speaks well and everything. And I just asked, what went wrong? How did you end up on the street? And what that tells me, and the reason why we're here today, the reason why Rose's ministry is speaking to you today is that we will never make the assumption that because you are looking so nice and well today, that you cannot be like that tomorrow. We can't make that assumption. Because those ones that are like that today at a point in time were in schools like this. Some of them were in private schools. Slowly, over time, one of the things we found out is that drug and alcohol abuse leads to people shedding their responsibilities. For example, if they start taking it in university, you find out that stabbing lectures, not going for lectures, the things that they should be responsible for at that point in time are gone. If they are much older, you see men neglecting their families because of drug and alcohol abuse, because their life slowly rotates around drugs and alcohol. The third thing that you see there is financial instability. Let me tell you, the thing about drugs, alcohol, is that they don't come cheap. They don't come cheap. So, because they don't come cheap, it takes money. And it will be taking money out of the pocket. Sooner or later, even if they are millionaires, many times this has destroyed their millions. The last one there is health issues. It leads to health issues, many of the health issues that I mentioned. Quickly going on, because my time, I have to rush off. Can we look at it? Now, who are these two people? Do you recognize them? Who's the guy on the left? Who's the girl on the right? You know them? Okay. They look nice together, right? Now, these are some of the things that we see, and we influences us in decision for the third thing. Next slide. Dating. Dating. Men Many of us want to go into dating simply because of pictures like that. We see Kanye and Kim. We see this and that. And then you see, hey, let them be Femi and Kemi. So we all want to date. Now the issue with dating is not that dating is wrong. The issue with dating is the timing for it. And I tell people very simply, they keep asking me, oh, as a youth, as a teenager, should I date? And I just say, what is the reason for dating? Are you ready to get married in another 2 or 3 years? No. Are you ready to be pregnant? No. What? Are you ready to start a family? No. So it is better you stay away from dating. Dating leads to some things. What happens during dating is that you actually open up yourself more, principally to sexual immorality. You open up yourself more to sexual immorality. You will sooner or later want to experiment. When you start dating, you start with holding hands. As you go on, the holding of the hands is not enough. You go on to hugging. As you hug, the hugging is not enough. You go on to pecking. As you peck, the pecking is not enough. You go on to kissing. Then you go on to French kissing. Then you go on to Nigerian kissing. Then you go, and then before you go on, you go on and on and on. Before you know it, or sooner or later, you are going to be having sex. What are the dangers of premarital sex? As I said there, one of the immediate dangers there, of course, is pregnancy. Right? It can lead to pregnancy. Forget that issue of, once there's safe sex, there's no such thing as safe sex. What it has shown, what studies have shown is that even when a couple start off having sex, even if they are using condoms or trying to be safe, over time, they throw that away. There's a diminishing, the threshold comes down and they start experimenting without any of that. So what happens is that you open up yourself to being pregnant, especially the ladies. Once you open up yourself to be pregnant, then you now start making decisions of whether you are now going to become a teenage mom or what? Abortions. Let me tell you something about abortions, because many people will say, they do abortions and remove it. Let me quickly tell you about a study that was done in Owerri on secondary school children, right, who had abortions, induced abortions, that's what we call it. First of all, they found out that in this particular group, 15 to 17-year-old girls constituted 72%. How many people are 15 here? Put up your hand. Just leave your hand up. If you are 16, add your hand to it. And if you are 17, add your hand again. Okay. He said this particular group, 72% of those who were studied were the ones that got pregnant. But you know the frightening thing about this abortion group? Right? 23% mortality rate. That means 23% of them died because of induced abortion. They died. That's where health issues come in. There's so many health issues concerning premarital sex and all of that I can't go into, but there's something that I just want to mention. You might be familiar with many. You might be familiar with AIDS. You might be familiar with STDs, that's sexually transmitted diseases. You can get these things. You can get these things. And especially for the ladies, what happens is that some of these things might seem as if they can be treated, but some of these things leave lasting injury to the body. Some of the things, all these diseases are the ones that end up blocking the fallopian tubes. Those of you who do biology, you know what the fallopian tubes are. They end up later in life causing infertility. It actually come out from. This is a picture of cervical cancer. Now, when you hear of cancer, you think that, oh, cancer is something that is highfalutin, it can't happen. What they found out about this particular kind of cancer, right, is that it is very much linked to a particular virus. Can we go back? Human HPV virus, human papilloma virus, HPV, is linked to that. And it's so linked that they found out that whoever has that virus, right, will end up with cancer later on in life. But the unfortunate thing about this virus is that it has no symptoms. The only thing is that the virus comes up with early sexual activity. So what happens is that when you start having early sexual activity, and as teenagers and all of that, some of you will think, oh, I'm being cool, nothing is happening. Oh, I'm now 25, I'm all well and good. I've had my family, not knowing that something has been placed in there that is going to bring and shorten your lifespan. Let's quickly go on. Next slide. Next one after that. So, let's quickly go on. How do we counter peer pressure? Countering peer pressure. Please don't forget, if you have any questions, just quickly scribble them down and pass them to the front because I want to round up in 5 minutes. How do we counter peer pressure? Number one, analyze the situation. If you find yourself in any situation, sit down, think, analyze. What am I doing here? What are the rest of the people doing here? If I'm in the midst of some people and they're all smoking ganja or igbo, I have to ask myself, first of all, what are these people doing here? What am I doing here? Whatever it is that we're doing here, is it going to move my life forward or backwards? Analyze. Second thing is that you consider the consequences. The reason we're breaking this down is that you are intelligent beings. You are all in schools. And you'll be able to look at the consequence. If I take this thing, what do I get from it? If I take this cigarette now, what do I get? What are the consequences now? What are the consequences in the future? If I have sex with this guy, with this girl, what is the consequence? What will happen? That is it. You consider the consequences. Thirdly, you make a conscious decision. That is, immediately after looking at the consequences, you decide, I am going to do it. And God will help you, if He will. I am not going to do it. I am not. It's a conscious thing. One thing that you should never let happen when you are to counter peer pressure is that you allow your peers to make the decision for you. Oh yeah, let's go now. See, everybody is going. Everyone is doing it. No. You stop. You ask yourself, everyone is doing it. I agree. What is this thing that everyone is doing? Why do I want to do it? And then you now make your own decision. Do I want to do this or not? Knowing the results of doing it. So you make a conscious decision. And lastly, very importantly, you voice your decision. What normally happens is that many of us, we've made the decision, then we keep quiet. It's just like when we become Christians. Some people are Christians, then they just keep quiet. In the schools, I'm a Christian, but I keep quiet. No. You voice it, you make it known. Why? Because once everyone knows your decision, guess what? It helps you. Because they will even start leaving you alone. They won't come and meet you and start asking you to do those things. Right? Make sure you voice it. Next slide as we round up. These are some helpful tips. Right? Helpful tips that I'll give to you. Number one, avoid party scenes. If you are not interested in dating, go to less parties. or stick to the parties that are very close, your close friends. Do not become, you cannot say you are not interested in dating and you are now the party, what do you call it? You're always going from one party to the other. 2, don't hang out with friends who do things that you are against. Already, even in school, we know, I knew them, and you know that there are some friends that you know what they do and you know that you are against these things. It's a joke that we used to crack back in university. When we see some guys, we say, you this boy, you are the kind of friend that my mother wants me not to work with. Because you know. So you stay away from them. Some statements that you should get used to. Say bye-bye and leave. You are the party, it's not going fine, you don't like the way it went. Just say bye, I'm off. And you leave. No one can hold you back. Say things like, I am not interested. Girls, when they come and meet you, let's go and have some fun. I'm not interested. Period. Say things like, I am not ready another time. It isn't a lie. Because he who runs away, well, how does that say goes? He who runs away lives to fight another day. So, as a girl, someone has caught you in one corner, say, look, we must get on, let's get fresh. They say, no. Another time. Because you will just walk away from that and make sure you never go back to that boy's place. I'm not ready another time. If you have me, if you love me, you won't ask me to do what I don't want to do. Anyone, especially to girls, anyone that is telling you that, oh, I love you, that's why you must sleep with me or I must sleep with you, that person does not love you. If that person truly loves you, right, he will leave you, he will respect your wishes. Let me round off with this next one. This is for the adults in our midst, the coordinators and the teachers in our midst. This is something that is very interesting. A study was done by Adesoji Oni, University of Lagos. It was titled Peer Group Pressure as Determinant of Adolescent Social Adjustment in Nigerian Schools. It was actually published in an Asian Pacific Journal of Educators. These are the recommendations that he brought out for every parent, teacher, elder here. Next slide. It says 1. From that study, they found out that 1, parents should serve as role models. Because many times these things, we know that the reason why they do it outside, they smoke or they drink outside, is simply because it is done at home. Secondly, he said parents should be watchful of the type of friends their adolescents keep. We have to be watchful of those friends because whether we like it or not, peer pressure is real and it will continue to be real. Thirdly, parent-child relationships should be cordial enough to permit adolescents in discussing their problems. I know that there are many kids here that cannot discuss some things with their parents. Because if the mother or father should hear, in fact, maybe 2 slaps would have first of all pulled you. But that shouldn't be so. I don't have a daughter, but the day I have a daughter, by God's grace, God forbid my daughter should get pregnant, I would want her to tell me even before her mother. That's the kind of relationship that I desire. And lastly, it says the management of secondary school students should be the joint responsibility of parents, guidance counselors, school administrators, and society at large. It is everything together. It is the school, it is the parents, it is the teachers, and guess what? Society at large is what we're doing here today. Where society at large comes in is what Rose's ministry is doing here today, because we are still responsible for you, even though you might not be our biological sons and daughters. Okay, I think that's it. Last night. Thank you very much. This, please, I know that for reasons that might be beyond this, you might have more questions, you might need more counseling and time. I'll put 2 emails there. You can see Roses Ministry at yahoo.com. You can see my own also there, BSA TIP, that's bshadipe@hotmail.com. Be free to write down the emails and write any questions at all for any further counseling. Thank you very much. Are there any questions? Is there any question? Quickly, because I'm stepping down. Was someone raising up his or her hands?
Thank you very much for that presentation. Thank you, Doctor, for that wonderful presentation. I was touched. There are some things I just learned today. We are all learning as parents. And for our children, our students here, I know that you learned a lot. You open up to your mommies and to your daddies. Don't hide. Your phones, I know during holidays, all of you have phones. You have text messages you don't want mommies and daddies to see. You tweet. Be free. We've all gone through all that. Be friends with your mommies, be friends with your daddies. It will make our world a better place. So we thank our doctor for this wonderful presentation. And we hope he will come again next time. The next on the program is Snack Break.
Punctuality 10. Appearance and neatness 5. Attentiveness and behavior, 5. Then the quiz, it's 80 marks, a total of 100 marks. And we have here our judges for today.
Barrister Mrs. E.J. Chuksokoye.
Praise the Lord.
Dr. Mrs. E.J. Jidemma.
You're welcome.
And Engineer B.J. Zenwa.
Yeah, praise the Lord.
And our timekeeper is Mrs. Chinese Atchison.
Praise God.
The two candidates that have been selected for the schools, you're going to have questions school by school. The judges will announce what school is going to answer each question, and I will read out the question. Please try and listen, because I would not like to repeat the question. Questions are very simple. Some of you are behaving as if you're already getting feverish. Don't get feverish. Okay, you're here. Aquinas, you're welcome. Brown Memorial College. Okay, Brown Memorial College is not represented. Can you please take them out? The book that you were given to read. If you have the book, please can you just put it on that? This is not the time for people. Put it on that. That's for those who are going to answer the quiz. Put away the books. You're going to have some questions from gifted hands. You're going to have some very simple arithmetic, mathematics questions from primary school textbook. You're also going to have some quiz from today's lecture. Peer pressure, dating, alcohol, and drugs. First question goes to
Princeton School.
Princeton. Okay. What did Ben Carson gain worldwide recognition for in 1987?
He gained recognition for separating the Simon Street.
Correct. Now, I didn't say this. Yes, thank you for clapping. You have 30 seconds per question. So, you please do not waste time in answering your questions. This we have to take the microphone. The 30 seconds wasn't up anyway. It is in record time. Second question. Aquinas. Listen, maybe it's better if you stand so that we know who is going to answer the question. Or you, no. Sit if they're more comfortable. Whichever way you're more comfortable. Aquinas, are you ready? What was the first thing that happened to Ben Carson at 8 years that hurt him deeply? Correct? Remember, you're using the microphone, so talk out so that we can hear you. I didn't quite hear you. Question 3. Fabula. What was the bad thing that Ben Carson's father did that hurt them deeply?
He left them. He was a bigamist.
Thank you. Correct. Question 4.
Gloryland.
How did Ben Carson handle his deep hurt on his father's leaving them?
He decided to move on from it and pray to God, and he took support from his mother.
Correct? Five.
Queen's College.
2 things.
Somerset.
up Ben Canson's mother's strength? Name one of them.
Have faith in God.
Correct? Pedro. Ben described his mom, Sonia, as a wonderful woman. What did he say was the characteristic he inherited from her? Okay, I'll take that. Determined compulsive personality. I'll take that. Bingo, yes. Correct. Abi?
Fountain. Fountain.
Okay. What was Ben's mother's impression about reading?
Okay, she felt that if you read, you can learn anything within where you are.
Correct.
Correct.
Now take it over.
Queen's College.
What was Ben's major family challenge as they were growing up?
They were covered, they didn't have enough money.
Correct.
That's correct. New Estate.
What was Ben Canson's worst experience of his school life?
Worst experience.
Worst. The
Ben
worst.
Carson's worst experience of his school life was when he did a maths test and he got 0 over 30.
Correct.
Correct. New era. New era.
What happened to bring a solution to low grades for Ben in Higgins School?
You take that behind glasses. Correct.
Princeton.
Okay, so second round. Has every school represented here answered the first round? Yes. Okay. Princeton. Name one of the 3 things Ben's mom made him and his brother do to improve their grades in school.
They were to read 2 books a week and give a report at the end of the week.
Correct. Aquinas.
Why did Ben and his brother, Curtis, always obey their mom?
They respected her.
Correct. Correct. Ferdinand.
By 7th grade, Ben had worked so hard, he had made it to the top of the class. What was his goal in working so hard?
To be the best. To be the best among the students. And to be
Correct.
outstanding.
Correct.
Correct.
Next one. Next one.
Gloryland.
In school, Ben recorded 3 incidents of racial prejudice against him and his brother. How did he respond to them?
Each time Ben recorded this incident, he walked away and then he prayed to God for help.
Correct. Somerset.
From the book, what is the meaning of capping?
Capping means to like try to intimidate others to make fun of people based on how they appear. Capping means to try to intimidate others by making sarcastic comments based on their appearances.
Bedrock.
What was Ben's initial reaction to capping? Initial reaction to capping.
When you started capping, he felt it being funny to cap on them back, like reversing it.
Say it again.
When first he felt it as just funny to reverse the capping back on them.
Incorrect.
The question, it's all right. It's okay. You can sit down. What was Ben's initial? Oh,
The answer that he found it an embarrassing and painful experience. That's the correct answer. Thank you.
Next.
Fountain.
Why was Ben a victim of capping?
Because his mother couldn't get enough money to buy him new clothes. He always wore old clothes.
Correct. Queen's College.
What was Ben's mother's attitude to clothes and dressing?
She said it didn't matter how you look outside. It's what's inside that matters most.
Correct. New Estate.
Remember, schools that are seated, remember that you're being scored for attentiveness. So if you're busy talking, the scoring is going on. So please be quiet. What did Ben do to stop being a victim of capping?
What Ben did to stop being a victim of capping was that he started capping on them back, and he went to meet his mom to get new clothes for him.
It's correct. Next, new era.
Ben was called poor. He was ashamed to be seen buying food with government food stamps. What lesson do we learn from the book about this?
Be contented with what we have and not be ashamed of who we are and all conditions not permanent.
Okay, we'll accept that. But that challenges are a part of life, and we should not be ashamed of them. And that other kids are poor, and that they also use food stamps.
Ben's initial reaction to peer pressure. What was Ben's initial response to peer pressure?
He gave in to peer pressure because he wanted to become like them. So he started following them and trying them to follow them.
Correct.
Did Ben's response make him have fun? Did it make him happy?
Somehow he didn't, because his mother was not proud of him like she was before.
Did it make him have fun?
Yes, he did.
But did it make him happy?
No.
Correct. Febina. Febina.
What was the effect of Ben's response to peer pressure?
The influence of Ben's response to peer pressure was that he developed a terrible anger and it was not like before.
Incorrect.
His grades
Dropped.
Okay.
He strayed from the most important and basic values in his life. His grades dropped. Incorrect.
Next. Ben was baptized at age 8. At what age did he truly grasp the significance of believing in the Lord Jesus Christ?
At age 14.
Well, accepted, but it's actually within a range 12 to 14. Correct. The next school is Somerset.
What was the most severe personal problem that Ben encountered in his teenage years that almost ruined his life forever?
Terrible temper.
Can't hear you.
Terrible temper.
Sorry?
He had terrible temper.
Correct. Anger, terrible, uncontrollable temper. Okay, the next school is Bedrock.
What was the worst episode